Greetings, TheWarOwl greets you, and welcome to my series of tutorials on how to play Counter-Strike Global Offensive. This time, I'll be going over the basics of competitive play. After writing the first draft for this tutorial, which is designed to help those who are trying to get into competitive play and learn a little bit more about it and maybe new to Counter-Strike, I noticed that my writing was about 15 pages long. There is so much to cover in terms of competitive Counter-Strike, so I've revised this video to just be a brief overview of these concepts. For more in-depth coverage of these concepts, stay tuned to TheWarOwl's CSGO. Counter-Strike Global Offensive is a team-based tactical shooter designed for competitive play. It has great depth of skill and teamwork and is not for the casual gamer. If you're new to the game or you want to try to get into competitive play, there are a number of basics that you need to know going into it. First, you'll need to know the rules. The game mode that is used for competitive play is called Bomb Defusal. It is denoted by DE. For example, the map DE Dust 2 is a bomb defusal map. It is played with 5 players on one team playing against 5 players on the other team, each starting out on one of 2 sides. Individuals do not win in Counter-Strike. The amount of kills or the score you have or anything like that is irrelevant. Either your team wins or your team loses. There is the counter-terrorist side and the terrorist side. Both teams play 15 rounds on each side, and then they switch sides and play another 15 rounds, making the entire game take course over 30 rounds. The first team to get 16 points wins. Each side has a different set of objectives. For the terrorists, the goal is to plant an explosive device, which is carried by one of the players, at one of 2 bomb sites on the map. They need to do this before the timer runs out. They're going to be blowing up stuff like boxes or fountains with fish in them. Useless stuff, but that's okay. The point is that you got to blow stuff up. They can also win if they kill every counter-terrorist before the timer runs out. For the counter-terrorists, they win if they either kill all of the terrorists, defuse the bomb that the terrorists have planted at one of the 2 sites, or run out the clock. This sets the game up into an offensive and defensive scenario, the terrorists being offensive and the counter-terrorists being defensive, and it opens the game up to a wide variety of strategies and tactics that are witnessed in competitive play. It also removes the concept of camping. There is no such thing as camping in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. If you run away and hide or something, you're only going to be a detriment to your team, or you could be a benefit to your team by being strategic about it. The next thing you'll need to know is the maps that the game is played on. Counter-Strike has been around for a long time, so the maps that are played have evolved over time to be quite amazing. It is because of this that there are only a few maps that are accepted as true competitive maps and are played competitively, and others that do not possess the qualities of a competitive map. In terms of Valve's official matchmaking maps, the maps that are considered competitive are DE Dust 2, DE Nuke, DE Inferno, DE Train, and DE Mirage. Each of these maps has a competitive counterpart where elements such as chickens, useless visuals, and ugly fog are removed. They are denoted by having an SE at the end of the map name. For example, DE Dust 2's competitive counterpart is DE Dust 2 SE. Unfortunately, as of the making of this tutorial, the non-competitive maps are used in Valve's official matchmaking on the competitive mode, but you can play the competitive maps in third-party leagues. There are a number of other maps that are considered competitive and are used on a league-by-league basis. It is important to learn these maps, which takes intensive study. The positions on each map each have names associated with them that have been created by the community over time. There's no standard for these names. They've evolved regionally, so you really have to learn them by playing the game or by watching competitive Counter-Strike. Next, we'll talk briefly about the economy of the game. When I say economy, I mean the money that each player has and how it is used. Players are awarded money for killing other players, completing objectives, winning rounds, or losing rounds. They use this money at the start of each round to purchase weapons for that round. Because it is a team-based game, you purchase weapons as a team. If your team does not have enough money to buy everything that you need, your team caller can call a save round, in which case players will not purchase. There are a number of conventions for how the game is best played, and you need to learn these conventions or you can ruin the game for your team and for all 10 of the people playing it. For example, if you lose the pistol round, you normally will be saving the second round. A player who spends their money when the rest of their team saves and knows that they're supposed to save will drastically hurt the chances their team has of winning the next round. Remember, your money is not your money. It is your team's money. If you have a lot of money and you are on a buy round, you may be required to purchase a weapon for a teammate. If you choose not to, it is going to hurt your team. Next, I'll briefly go over team roles and weapon choice. There is a standard dynamic to how a team should operate. First, you need a player who will be calling the tactics that your team will be using and be sort of the leader and organizer. He is what is called the caller. Then, you need someone who is designated to use the weapon known as the AWP, or AWP. He is the AWPer. The rest of the players will be using rifles, being the AK-47 for terrorist side, and the M4 for counter-terrorist side. If they cannot afford an AK or an M4 on a buy round, they will usually purchase the Galil or the FAMAS as a substitute. On special rounds, such as the second round when you can't purchase fully, you sometimes need to purchase what's called an eco weapon or an economy weapon. It is a weapon that is not ideal, but is purchased because it is cheap or situational based on what's going on in the game. For example, after winning the first round, a player may purchase the Bison, which I have affectionately named the Bizone because it does well against players who do not have armor. For pistols, the starting pistols are good enough against enemies who don't have helmets. Both the Glock and the P2000 are one-hit headshots against no helmets, so there's really no reason to purchase anything else first round. You could purchase your nades and your flashes and or armor even. There's different things that you can purchase that'll be a better choice than buying another weapon. The P250 is a good choice against helmeted opponents, so it's purchased on eco rounds where the other team is buying. As a counter-terrorist, you can purchase a bomb defusal kit. It cuts the time of a defuse down to 5 seconds from 10 seconds. It is incredibly important. The goal of the game is to win points, and many points have been lost because someone did not purchase a kit. Remember, on buy rounds, always purchase these two things: armor with a helmet and a kit. The last thing that I'll talk about is arguably the most important: nades. Nades are what make the tactics that this game is known for. They are smoke grenades that obscure vision. Players rarely run through smokes because it gives them a distinct disadvantage. There are also flashbangs, which blind enemy players and teammates, so be careful with them. They are used to breach rooms, or to delay the other guys before they come into the room. Nades can be thrown cleverly by bouncing off of walls, over walls, or by using nade physics, which I have another tutorial about. You can purchase 3 different types of nades. If one of those is a flashbang, you can purchase 2 flashbangs. Nades are ridiculously important. I cannot stress that enough. Remember, Counter-Strike Global Offensive is a team-based, skill-based shooter. In that order. You cannot succeed in competition without knowing the basics for how the game is played, or you will conflict with your teammates. Good social skills are required, so check your ego at the door. Who cares what your kill-death ratio is? Who cares, I don't know, all the points and stuff. 100%, the only thing you should care about is getting 16 points for your team and winning the game. Oh, and one last thing, teamwork requires communication. If you want to play competitively, get a microphone, or you will hold your team back. You need to be able to call out enemy positions and coordinate with your teammates, or you will be a detriment to your team. Get comfortable with your voice. I know I have. I'm TheWarOwl, and I still have no closer.